Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss the third part of economic growth and development. In that last two lectures, we have discussed the difference between the economic growth and economic development. And in that also, in first part, we have discussed the Adam Smith, Ricardo, Schumpeter, Rostow, their economic theories related to growth and development. Rostow's theory, which is very important, he discussed the 5 stages of growth. Then balanced theory, which is given by Knox, and that is for the underdevelopment countries. Then the unbalanced growth theory, which is given by Hirschman. Then the big push approach, which is given by Rogeston Redon. This theory also for the underdeveloped countries theory. And now the third lecture we will discuss the models of economic growth. So models of economic growth means आर्थिक वृद्धीचे आणि आर्थिक विकासाचे प्रतिमाने. In that we have discussed the 4 important models. In that, Harrod-Domer model, Solo growth model, Robinson's model, and Kaldor model. And also we have discussed the technical progress. In that, disembodied and embodied growth. We know that disembodied means the intellectual capabilities are there, and embodied means the machinery are there. So another one, the endogenous growth model, which is famous for the long-term economic development. So now we will discuss the first Harrod-Domer model. So Harrod and Domer both are the different economists. Sir Roy Harrod, the British economist, biographer of the John Maynard Keynes. He wrote a biography of John Maynard Keynes, wrote the first textbook, International Economics, developed the Harrod model in 1939 at Christchurch. So, Sir Roy Harrod हे ब्रिटिश इकॉनॉमिस्ट होते आणि त्यांनी जे काही मेनॉर्ड केन्स आहेत तर त्यांची बायोग्राफी लिहिलेली होती. त्यांचं जे पहिलं बुक आहे ते आहे इंटरनॅशनल इकॉनॉमिक्स, आंतरराष्ट्रीय अर्थशास्त्र. आणि त्यांनी जो हॅरोड मॉडेल मांडला तो 1939 मध्ये क्रिस्टचर्च येथे मांडलेला आहे. सो सायमल्टेनियसली द इव्से डोमर is Russian and American, means Russia-American economist. He developed the Domer model in 1946 at Harvard, become a professor at MIT and John Hopkins. So Domer हे रशियन अमेरिकन अर्थतज्ञ होते आणि त्यांनी डोमर जे काही मॉडेल आहे ते 1946 ला मांडलं. आणि हे दोन मॉडेल दोघांनी एकत्रितरित्या मांडल्यामुळे या मॉडेलला किंवा या प्रतिमानाला आपण हॅरॉड-डॉमर मॉडेल असे म्हणतो. सो व्हॉट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ हॅरॉड-डॉमर मॉडेल? द हॅरॉड-डॉमर मॉडेल थिअराइज that the rate of economic growth in country is defined by the level of saving and capital output ratio. It means the economic growth is determined or defined by the level of saving and capital output ratio. बचत आणि तुमचं जे भांडवल आहे तर या दोघांचा जो दर आहे तर त्याला मिळून हॅरॉड-डोमर यांनी त्यांचं मॉडेल मांडलेलं आहे. सो व्हॉट इज द फॉर्म्युला ऑफ द कॅपिटल रेशियो अँड कॅपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो ऑफ ग्रोथ? दॅट इज saving divided by capital output ratio. So saving, S stand for saving and K stand for your capital output ratio. Harrod-Domer model is the classical Keynesian model of economic growth. This model is the classical Keynesian model. It is used to development economics to explain an economic's growth rate in terms of the level of saving and productivity of capital. It suggests that there is no natural reason for an economy to have a balanced growth. In this model, Harold Domer says that there is no natural reason of an economy to have the balanced growth of the economy. The model was developed independently by Roy Harrod in 1939 and Domer in 1946. Although the similar model had been produced by Cassell in 1924. The Harrod-Domer model was the exogenous growth models. We know that there are two types of model. One is exogenous model and second one is endogenous model. So what is the meaning of the Harrod-Domer model? It means the Harrod-Domer model is the capital and saving ratio model. So before the Harrod and Domer, Cassell proposed the same model in the field of economic growth. So what is the synopsis of this model? This model is developed by both the economists, first one Harrod and second one Domer. Harrod in 1939 and Domer in 1946. And before that, in 1924, the Gustav Cassell developed this model. This is the exogenous model. So, it requirement of steady growth. So, we know that Harrod-Domer model based on the Keynesian saving investment approach. We know that the Keynes has an approach which is saving investment approach. So, the capital output ratio means, what is the formula of capital output ratio? That is K by Y. Capital by your income is equal to your capital output ratio. And there are three types of rates. Which are the actual growth rate? G stand for actual growth rate. Warranted growth rate. GW stand for warranted growth rate. And GN stand for natural growth rate. So in this model, there are how many types of growth rate? There are three types of growth rate. Which are they? Actual growth rate, warranted growth rate, and natural growth rate. Actual growth rate and warranted growth rate are used for short run period, and the natural growth rate is used for long run period. So what is the steady growth? Harrod-Domer can make the investment in the process of economic growth, but they emphasize the nature of duality of investment. First one, create the investment income and increase the production capacity of economy by capital stock. First, the demand effect of investment, and second can be fulfillment effect. So till the net investment continues, the real income and the production will continue expand. So what are the assumptions of the particular Harrod-Domer model? In that, lack of government intervention means the government cannot intervene in the particular model. There is an initial full employment balance level of income. Another one, such model operate in the closed economy in where is no any foreign trade, no change in the rate of interest, the ratio of capital and labor to the productive process in constant. So what are the assumptions of that? First is lack of government intervention. या मॉडेलमध्ये कुठल्याही प्रकारचं गव्हर्नमेंट इंटरव्हेन्शन नसतं किंवा गव्हर्नमेंटचा जो काही हस्तक्षेप आहे सरकारचा तो कमी असतो. फर्स्ट लेवलला यामध्ये जे काही रोजगार आहे तर ती पूर्ण रोजगाराची स्थिती असते. द मॉडेल ऑपरेट इन अ क्लोज्ड इकॉनॉमी. आपल्याला माहिती आहे देर आर मेनली 2 टाइप्स ऑफ इकॉनॉमी. First is the closed economy and second is open economy. When closed economy is there, in the boundary of particular country, our trade is happen. बंदिस्त अर्थव्यवस्था किंवा क्लोज्ड इकॉनॉमी आपण याला म्हणतो की फक्त देशांतर्गत तुमचे जे काही व्यवहार आहेत, इम्पोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट आहे तो होणार आहे. आणि ओपन इकॉनॉमी म्हणजे आपला जो व्यवहार आहे, आपला जो ट्रेड आहे तो बाहेरच्या देशासोबत आपण एक्सपोर्ट किंवा इम्पोर्ट करणार आहोत. सो बिफोर 1991 our Indian economy is in the form of closed economy, and after 1991 what is happening in 1991, the policy LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization policy is accepted by India in 1991, and that's why our Indian economy is open economy. So this is the closed economy model. No change in rate of interest. व्याजाचा दर जो आहे तर त्याच्यामध्ये कुठल्याही प्रकारचा बदल नव्हता. द रेशिओ ऑफ कॅपिटल अँड लेबर टू द प्रोडक्टिव्ह प्रोसेस इज कॉन्स्टंट. द रेशिओ कॅपिटल लेबर रेशिओ जो काही आहे तर तो कसा असला पाहिजे, कॉन्स्टंट असला पाहिजे. सो अनदर assumption of the particular HD model is the average saving trend is equal to your marginal saving trend. Average saving, सरासरी बचत जी आहे ती तुमच्या मार्जिनल म्हणजे सीमांत बचती एवढी असली पाहिजे. सेव्हिंग अँड इन्व्हेस्टमेंट बिलॉंग टू द सेम इयर्स इन्कम. Adjustment between the investment and productive capacity building does not seem too long. The investment and your productive capacity does not seem too long. The marginal saving trend is constant. So, your marginal saving, तुमचा जो सीमांत बचतीचा दर आहे हा कसा असला पाहिजे, स्थिर असला पाहिजे. So, that is the assumption of the Herod-Domer model. What is the criticism of the Herod-Domer model? The main criticism of the Herod-Domer model is level of assumption, one being that there is no reason for growth to sufficient maintain full employment. So when the full employment happens, So we have discussed the Harrod-Domer model, and now we discuss the assumptions of Harrod-Domer model, and in that there are many assumptions. So what is the criticism of this particular model? The criticism of this model is, the main criticism of this model is the level of assumption. One being that there is no reason for the growth to be sufficient to maintain the full employment. So what is the full employment? Full employment means the growth rate, actual growth rate is equal to your warranted growth rate is equal to your natural growth rate. So the labor and capital ratio is fixed, and that they use the equal proportion. It means the HD model is used, the labor and capital ratio is equal proportion. The model explains that the economic boom and the boost by the assumption that investors are only influenced by the output. It means the accelerator principle, त्वरणाचे तत्व ज्याला आपण म्हणतो. So this is the criticism of particular HD model. And what are the limitations of HD model? The A, S and D is not constant, means your investment, your supply is not constant. The labor and capital cannot be used in static proportion. So the labor, when the labor is increased, capital is decreased, it means both are not in the capital or static proportion. Price are not stable. It means your price is flexible. Interest rate do not stable. They are also flexible. Objects are not same kinds, means the objects are different. So what is the main conclusion of the Harrod-Domer model? According to Kurihara, regardless of these limitations, the Harrod-Domer model is completely independent, which is based on the fiscal neutrality and has been created to the river of the boundaries and ascending balance of the advanced economy. So this is the perfect Harrod-Domer model. It means when you increase your saving, it increased your investment. The increase in investment then increase the higher capital stock. Then the higher capital stock increase in the higher economic growth. This is how the circle is start. So HD मॉडेल मध्ये काय आहे की ज्यावेळी तुमची सेविंग बचत वाढणार आहे, ऑटोमॅटिकली तुमची गुंतवणूक वाढेल, ऑटोमॅटिकली तुमचा जो काही भांडवली साठा आहे तर तो भांडवली साठा वाढणार आहे, आणि भांडवली साठा वाढला की त्यामध्ये हायर इकॉनॉमिक जे काही ग्रोथ आहे तर ती होणार आहे, म्हणजे जास्तीत जास्त आर्थिक वाढ दिसून येणार आहे. सो दिस इज द फिगर ऑफ इकॉनॉमिक ग्रोथ मॉडेल. प्रिव्हियस इयरचे क्वेश्चन पेपर जर अनालिसिस तुम्ही केला तर त्यावेळी तुम्हाला अशा प्रकारच्या फिगर्स दिसून येतात. त्यामध्ये तुम्हाला दाखवलेले आहे की ज्यावेळी लॉंग रन असेल तर लॉंग रन मध्ये कुठली जी काही ग्रोथ रेट वाढणार आहे किंवा कुठला ग्रोथ रेट कमी होणार आहे. आता यामध्ये ग्रोथ रेट्स दाखवलेले आहे. ई फॉर इक्विलिब्रियम, GW फॉर वॉरंटेड ग्रोथ रेट, GN for your natural growth rate, and only G for your actual growth rate. So we think that in the long run process, the natural growth rate is showed for the long run process. and warranted growth rate and the actual growth rate in the short run process. So another one is your Solos model. Before that, we will recapitulate or summarize the Harrod-Domer model. What is the Harrod-Domer model? Harrod in 1934 and Domer in 1946, both are combinedly developed the Harrod-Domer model. This is based on the Keynesian saving and investment approach. Then the capital output ratio is shown for this model, that is your formula is K by Y is equal to K means capital output ratio. K stand for capital and Y stand for investment. Then in that also the saving and income direct relationship. What is the saving and income direct relationship? S divided by K means saving divided by your capital is equal to change into investment by Y. That is your saving income direct relationship. In that there are three rates. Which are they? Actual growth rate, indicator G, GW for warranted growth rate and GN for natural growth rate. If the full employment is there, there is the situation G is equal to GW is equal to GN. It means full employmentच्या काळामध्ये जो काही तुमचा ऍक्च्युअल ग्रोथ रेट आहे, वॉरंटेड ग्रोथ रेट आहे आणि जो नॅचरल ग्रोथ रेट आहे तर तो बरोबर असतो. देन द वॉरंटेड ग्रोथ रेट GW, वॉरंटेड ग्रोथ रेट इज कॉल्ड द नाईफ एज इक्विलिब्रियम. प्रिव्हियस इयरला विचारलेला क्वेश्चन आहे की नाईफ एज इक्विलिब्रियम हा कोणत्या ग्रोथ रेटला म्हटलं जातं किंवा कोणत्या ग्रोथ रेटच्या वेळी असतो, तर तो असतो वॉरंटेड growth rate that is applicable for the businessman and entrepreneurs. So this is the HD model. Another one is the solo model of economic growth. The solo model of economic growth is based on the particular alternative to the HD model. So the Professor Solo builds his model of economic growth as an alternative to the Harrod-Domer model of economic growth without its crucial assumption of fixed proportion in production. He brings a continuous production function linking output to input of the labor and capital which are substitutable. Then what is the solo growth model? Solo growth model gives a long-term steady growth rate, and in that your GW is equal to GN means warranted growth rate is equal to your natural growth rate. So what are the assumption of the particular model, solo model? One composite commodity is produced. It is the typical production function of first degree. Output is the net output after depreciation of capital. Depreciation म्हणजे आपण म्हणतो की भांडवलाचा घसारा. जेव्हा नेट आउटपुट कधी मिळतं आपल्याला, ज्यावेळी भांडवलाचा घसारा कॅल्क्युलेट केला जाईल, म्हणजे होणारी जी काही झीज आहे पर्टिक्युलर भांडवलाची, तर त्यावेळी. लेबर अँड कॅपिटल आर सबस्टिट्युएबल. Price and wages are flexible. They are not fixed. There is full employment of labor. There is the constant returns to scale. The neutral technical progress. The saving ratio is constant. Not change in the saving ratio. The two factors of production, land and capital, are paid according to the marginal physical productivity. So, what is the assumption of the particular model? The typical production function of first degree happens in the solo model. The typical new classical function is used in the particular model. There is the perfect substitution between the capital and labor, K for capital, L for labor, and diminishing marginal productivity, which is attached to this particular model. So, the saving investment ratio is always constant. The labor is endogenous variable. Lastly, we discussed there are two types of variable. One is endogenous variable and second one is exogenous variable. So the labor is the endogenous variable. It is increasing and the exponential rate. Full employment is there. Investment not used in the interdepreciation. So we can say that the solo model is the reflection of the Cobb-Douglas production function. कॉब-डग्लस यांचं जे काही उत्पादन फलन आहे तर त्या कॉब-डग्लस उत्पादन फलनाचंच एक रिफ्लेक्शन आपल्याला सोलो मॉडेल हे दिसून येते. व्हॉट इज द बेसिक आयडिया ऑफ द पर्टिक्युलर सोलो मॉडेल? In this model, there would be the tendency for K by L. K for capital and L. It means the भांडवल आणि तुमचा जो कामगार रेशिओ आहे तर तो म्हणजे सोलो मॉडेल आहे. टू ऍडजस्ट इट सेल्फ थ्रू द टाइम ऑफ डायरेक्शन ऑफ इक्विलिब्रियम रेशिओ. If the initial ratio of capital to labor is more capital and output would be grow slowly, then the labor force is vice versa. The Solo's analysis convergent to the equilibrium path start with any capital labor ratio. So what is the explanation of the particular model? The Solo takes the output as a whole only commodity in the economy. Means the capital labor ratio output is the only commodity in the economy. Annual rate of production that is Y that is production or income and T for time period. Part of it is consumed, the rest is saved and invested. That is saved is the constant S for saving and the rate of saving is SYT. Saving, investment, T for time period. Capital is the stock of capital. KT is your stock of capital and the net investment or the rate of increase in this stock of capital is K. So what is the KT and K? KT means capital in particular time period is the stock of capital and the net investment of the rate is increased of this stock of capital is K. So which equations are for the Solo model? So the equations, diagram, assumptions are very important for the particular purpose of examination. What is the basic equation? K is equal to SY. K for capital, S for saving, Y for investment or income. So since output, first our equation is K is equal to SY. Capital is equal to saving and investment. So since output is produced, the capital and labor technological possibilities are represented by the production function. What is the production function? ज्याला आपण उत्पादन फलन म्हणतो. तर उत्पादन फलन सांगत असताना पहिलं जे आपलं इक्वेशन ड्रॉ होतं ते आहे भांडवल म्हणजे भांडवल इज इक्वल टू तुमचं सेव्हिंग आणि गुंतवणूक आणि बचत आहे. तसंच जे आपलं नेक्स्ट इक्वेशन ड्रॉ होतं ते y बरोबर y इज अ फंक्शन ऑफ K and L. Means y your income and that is the function of K, capital and labor. That shows the constant returns to scale. So this function shows the constant returns to scale. Inserting equation 2 and 1. What is the first equation? K is equal to SY and second one is your y is a function of K and L. Is now we can get the K is equal to S function KL. Capital is equal to saving function capital and labor. So in the equation 3, K is equal to SFKL. L represented the total employment since population is growing exogenously. L for your labor, but related to population, growing population. So the labor force increase at a constant relative rate, and thus further equation is drawn. Which are the further equation? L, that is represent the labor ratio, T for time period, L and T, and what is the further equation of L and T? That is L in bracket T is equal to L and NT. So what is the particular equation? Solo regards, and the formula is that N as a Herod natural rate of growth, NT for natural rate of growth in absence of the technological change, and LT as available supply of labor at a particular time period or particular rate. So the final equation of the first, second, third, fourth, we can get K is equal to SF, that is capital is equal to saving function in bracket. It means the function of K for capital and LOE and T, that is the labor force and the natural rate of growth. So he regards this basic equation of determining the time path of capital accumulation, K, that must followed if all available labor is may be fully employed. So what is the solo model? The solo model shows that here R is the capital output ratio. It means your capital labor ratio. Then the function represent the function SF, R and 1, that is represent the constant returns to scale, and the output per worker as a function of capital per worker is total product curve as varying amount of the capital are employed with 1 unit labor. 1 unit labor. Then this is here the L by K is the constant and capital stock must expand at the same rate of labor. So in this function, R stand for your capital output ratio, N stand for your labor ratio or labor force, and R for natural growth rate. And this curve shows the constant returns to scale. Another pattern is next figure of the solo growth model. Here the NR, then NR for the natural rate of growth, then SF and F, that is the saving function. In this figure particularly, the productivity curve, this one is the productivity curve which is shows as SF in bracket R1. Intersect the curve NR at 3 points. This intersect the NR curve. हा कुठे कुठे छेदतोय R1, R2 आणि R3 च्या ठिकाणी. So are the stable equilibrium position because of the total productivity curve is above NR, but R2 is below NR and it is the unstable. Above NR म्हणजे जे काही आपल्याला R2 पासून R3 पर्यंत बघत असताना जो कर्व आहे तो NR च्या वरच्या साइडने दिसतो. That shows what? That shows the total productivity. And below NR means R1 to R2, that shows the unstable productivity growth. So what is the third pattern or what is the third diagram shows that in that both S1 and S2 shows the unproductive system which is depicted by the solo growth model. So, what is the summary of solo growth model? When the production takes place under the usual neoclassical condition of variable proportion and constant returns to scale, no simple opposition between the natural and warranted growth rate is possible. So, if we want to go for the natural growth rate and warranted growth rate, that is, the condition is very complexive condition. There may not be any knife edge. We see in the first thing, Herod-Domer model, there is the knife edge condition for warranted growth rate. But in this model, there is no knife edge condition. The system can adjust to any approach a steady proportional expansion or expansion. So finally, we can see that the delta K by K it means change into capital by capital is equal to change into labor by labor and change into investment by investment. This is your final equation and final formula of the solo growth model. What is the criticism of the particular model? The criticism of the particular model is a major improvement over the Herod-Domer model, as in the HD model there is a knife edge and is any the usual parameters change with consequences would be chronic inflation or unemployment, while the assumptions substitutability between the labor and capital gives the growth process and adjustability, and problem of knife edge doesn't arise. So we can say that the solo model is basically depend upon particular classical growth model. This is the long term. What is the short summary of that particular model is? This model is given by the solo, and this model is the long term steady growth model. So we can say that here the warranted growth rate is equal to our natural growth rate. What is the function or formula derived by the solo model is your investment is a function of capital and labor. So we can say the many assumption of that particular model is, that is the first degree assumption is there, or first degree production function is there. This is the typical neoclassical model. The ratio of saving and investment is same. It means the saving and investment ratio is constant. Then the labor is the exogenous variable, and another is the full employment condition. Full employment means here your warranted growth rate, natural growth rate, and actual growth rate is same. Then we have another one formula, that is L is equal to L0 ENT. What is the L? L for your labor, E for exponential pattern, N for actual growth rate, and T for time. So we can say that this solo model is the reflection of Cobb-Douglas production function. So this is how the solo growth model. Now the Robinson's model of economic growth. We know that the John Robinson is a student of John Maynard Keynes. She rejected the neoclassical model and assumptions. She made an immense contribution to the theory of capital and its valuation. The main contribution to the theory of capital and its valuation. So what is the main model is there? She argues that the physical capital is the specific in the form of function. Maybe the function is heterogeneous and durable and take a time to be produced. Capital labor ratio are constant for a given technique at a given time. It means they want a particular time period. Production takes place in historical time, not logical time. The production can be takes place in the historical times. So the argument is for the neoclassical theory. What is the particular model? Neoclassical theory assumes that the rate of interest is the price of capital. In that, this is not so far the value of capital includes. What is the value of capital and what is the particular formula drawn by Robinson? The wages plus value of capital used in the production into rate of interest. Unless the rate of interest is known, the value of capital cannot be estimated. म्हणजे जोपर्यंत आपल्याला जो काही रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट आहे तो समजत नाही तोपर्यंत व्हॅल्यू ऑफ कॅपिटल जे आहे तर त्याचा आपल्याला अंदाज येऊ शकत नाही किंवा जे काही तुमचं भांडवली मूल्य आहे तर त्याचा अंदाज येऊ शकत नाही. सो अँड unless the value of capital is known, the rate of interest cannot be estimated. Thus, the value of capital and the rate of interest are determined simultaneously. The rate of interest and the value of capital is determined simultaneously. So, what is the value? We know that the value are two types. One is your face value, use value or utility, and another one is your price value. So you know that the best example of water and diamond. Water have the utility value more and the diamond have the price value more. That is the difference between the price value and the utility value. The physical in the particular Robinson's model, the physical capital is not malleable. So the MP, marginal propensity or productivity of the capital, cannot be determined. So the formula is MP of capital is not equal to the rate of substitution. In the neoclassical production function, if the capital is expressed in the physical terms, then not the possible assertion it's MP, that is marginal productivity. So the function is MPK, marginal productivity of capital, is equal to your delta Q by delta K. So it expressed in the value of term MP of K cannot be determined without knowing the rate of interest. So your marginal productivity and your capital determination is knowing the rate of interest of the particular model. So the Robinson's model is both the model is the theoretical model and mathematical model which is given by the Robinson, and the Robinson's model called the Wicksell effect. Robinson's model called the Wicksell effect, and this one, what is the formulas of the particular model, and this model is the review of the production function and the theory of capital, which is written by John Robinson in 1953. So you have to revise the numbers. ज्या वेळेला आपल्याला क्वेश्चन पेपर अनालिसिस आपण करतो तर त्यावेळी तुम्हाला सगळ्यात महत्वाचे क्रोनॉलॉजिकल ऑर्डर्स म्हणजे कुठल्या घटना केव्हा झालेल्या आहेत, हॅरडॉमर मॉडेल असेल, सोलो मॉडेल असेल किंवा रॉबिन्सन मॉडेल असेल, त्यांचे जे काही इसवी सन्स आहेत तर क्रोनॉलॉजिकल ऑर्डर्स आपल्याला बघणं गरजेचं आहे. देन विच बुक्स दे रोट, विच थेरी दे रोट्स, दिस इज ऑल्सो आस्क्ड फॉर द chronological orders and the match in the pairs. म्हणजे जोड्या लावा असतील किंवा मग तुमचे कालानुक्रमे लावा, क्रोनॉलॉजिकल आपण ज्याला म्हणतो, तिथे बुक्स असतील ते केव्हा लिहिले किंवा मॉडेल्स किंवा जोड्या लावामध्ये तुम्हाला पेअर्स मध्ये विचारलं जातं की सोलो मॉडेल, हु ड्रॉ द सोलो मॉडेल, व्हॉट इज द फंक्शन ऑफ सोलो मॉडेल, देन who write the particular HD model in this way. So what is the Robinson model? Robinson model is the Harrod's and Domel's model of growth, extended Harrod and Domel's model of growth. म्हणजे हेरॉड डोमलचं मॉडेल जे काही आहे तर ते परत अजून वाढवून सांगितलेलं आहे सोलो यांनी, रॉबिन्सन यांनी. सो she took the following aspect into account, that investment leads to saving, role of heterogeneous durable capital and the problem of valuing capital, importance of capital accumulation and its impact on economy, technical progress and its impact. ज्यावेळी आपण रॉबिन्सनचं मॉडेल बघतो तर त्याच्यामध्ये महत्वाच्या ज्या थिंग्स आहेत त्यामध्ये आपल्याला इन्व्हेस्टमेंट आहे, तर इन्व्हेस्टमेंट कडून सेव्हिंग कडे कसं आपण जातो. देन द कॅपिटल, ड्युरेबल कॅपिटल, व्हॉट द प्रॉब्लेम ऑफ व्हॅल्युइंग कॅपिटल्स इज देअर, व्हॉट इज द पर्टिक्युलर इम्पॅक्ट ऑन इकॉनॉमी ऑफ द पर्टिक्युलर कॅपिटल अक्युमुलेशन, and technical progress. Technical progress means your embodied concept, disembodied concept, etc. So Robinson model of economics is also the golden and platinum age of growth. Why it is called the golden and platinum age of growth? The free enterprise system is there, free market economy is there, it driving the force behind the growth. Entrepreneurs are to invest determined by the expectation of the profit of investment. This different golden and platinum age are different growth paths that apply the different economics with different characteristics. रॉबिन्सन मॉडेल जे आहे तर त्या रॉबिन्सन मॉडेलला आपण काही अंशी गोल्डन एज मॉडेल म्हणतो तर काही अंशी प्लॅटिनम एज मॉडेल म्हणतो. तर त्याचं कारण असं आहे की या मॉडेलच्या अनुसार आपल्याला फ्री एंटरप्राइजेस असेल किंवा फ्री मार्केट इकॉनॉमी आहे तर ते दर्शवतं. द गोल्डन एज मॉडेल इकॉनॉमिक्स विच स्टार्ट विथ इक्विलिब्रियम प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ कॅपिटल स्टॉक ऑफ एन इकॉनॉमी. So that is the golden age of myth. The proportion of capital stock of an economy. And platinum age model, where the stock of capital is not in proper proportion to the rate of growth that is desired by the entrepreneur of a free market economy. So golden age, there may be the free entrepreneurship, free capital stock for the economy, and platinum age where the stock of capital is not in the proportion and but it is the free market economy. So what are the assumptions of the particular Robinson model? Free enterprise economy, no government interference. So here also there is the free enterprise. कुठल्याही प्रकारचा गव्हर्नमेंटचा यामध्ये हस्तक्षेप नसणार आहे. क्लोज्ड इकॉनॉमी म्हणजे बंदिस्त अर्थव्यवस्था आहे. याचाच अर्थ काय की ट्रेड जो आहे इम्पोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट हा इतर देशांशी नसणार आहे. 3 क्लासेस आर देअर, एंटरप्रेन्युअर, वर्कर्स अँड रेंटर्स. Capital is fixed, durable and heterogeneous. No substitution between the capital and labor. Neutral technical process. Tranquility condition. Entrepreneurs assume that the present condition will be continue in future. That condition is called the tranquility condition. आताची जी काही परिस्थिती आहे तीच फ्युचर मध्ये असणार आहे. That is the tranquility condition. So this is all the model, the technical. According to Robinson, 7 conditions all independents are required to determine the equilibrium level of output. What are the 7 conditions given by Robinson? In that, technical conditions, number and quality of labor force and its growth rate, technical knowledge and technical progress is there, supply of natural resources. So, what is the formula which is given by Robinson? That is GN. We know that N for natural growth, L for labor, T for technical process. Natural growth is equal to your growth of labor plus your growth of technology. Then the thriftiness condition or thriftiness condition. Saving is equal to the ratio of saving and investment. It determined by the distribution and the MPS for marginal propensity to save. The market need to be PC, propensity to consume, that is PC. Monopoly market, we know that the monopoly, duopoly, perfect competition, these are the market structure. So the market need not to be propensity to consume. Monopoly makes PR by Y, independence rises, animal spirits, that is urge to invest. Another one, wage bargain. The money wages constant except when the money wages are constant, a capital or the plants are available for the investment, but labor is not. And another one is the rate of investment calls for a lower real wage not acceptable to a labor. That is the inflation by real wage. And the rate of accumulation is increased, then your rate of wage is decreased. This is the situation. That is the inverse relationship between the rate of accumulation and the wage rate. Next one is finance. The financial institutions developed to be offer the finance for investment, but the rate of interest and monetary policy play only a small role of the price stability. We know that the monetary policy, which is who give the monetary policy or who perform the monetary policy? RBI. Then the investment policy, firm alone make the investment decision based on the animal spirit. So that is the managerial economics. And last one is the stock of capital. If the entrepreneur are satisfied, then the capital stock condition will not change. The employment remain constant. So this is the 7 conditions or 7 structures for the determination of the equilibrium, which is given by the Robinson. So the rate of accumulation is that here the delta K by K is equal to I by K. It means delta K means change into capital divided by capital is equal to investment divided by capital. So what is the saving coefficient is there? Saving बचतीचा गुणांक ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, बचतीचा गुणांक काय असतो तर S by Y, the saving divided by your income or your investment, that is PR by Y. So as all the profit are invested, we can rewrite the particular function or particular equation. S by K, S for saving divided by your capital is equal to your I by K. So the final equation is KK denominator is same, that is K, and S is equal to I, means saving investment it include in the PR condition. So Here the PR by K is your rate of interest. This is how the diagram is drawn for the particular model. The rate of profit is on the y-axis and the curve A and I shows in the particular diagram. So the S and D both are the equilibrium point. It means here the I curve is intersect at the S point, and where the diagram curve is fall, that point is called the unstable point, and the D point called the stable point. So this is how the acceleration of D is here. So another is both the figure, that is A and I for your investment ratio and A for your accumulation. So this is the full employment, full growth capacity, that is called the golden age, which is considered platinum age and golden age. This is how the Robinson model. Another one is the Kaldor's model of economic growth. So we know that the Kaldor model is an attempt to make the saving income ratio a variable in the growth process. काल्डोर मॉडेल मध्ये सुद्धा बचत आणि जी काही इन्कम आहे, उत्पन्न आहे, तर उत्पन्न आणि बचतीचा फॉर्म्युला किंवा उत्पन्न आणि बचतीचं प्रमाण दाखवलेलं आहे. इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द क्लासिकल सेव्हिंग फंक्शन विच एम्प्लाइज दॅट सेव्हिंग इक्वल्स द रेशियो ऑफ प्रॉफिट्स टू national income. For example, S is equal to P by Y. That is profits to the national income. Y for national income. So we know that national incomes, what is the concept of national income? GDP, GNP, NNP, etc. And the methods which are used for the calculate the national incomes. How many methods are there? 3 methods. That is income method, production method, and expenditure method. India does not accept the expenditure method. Only India accept the production and product method, etc. We know that all the concept of national income, that is for 1 year period and financial year period, etc. So what are the assumption of the Kaldor model? So assumption गृहीतके काय काय आहेत? There is state of full employment so that the total output or the income is given. So here the full employment, पूर्ण रोजगाराची स्थिती असणार आहे. In that the income and income is given in the particular model. National income or the output consists of wages. W stand for wages and profit. P stand for profits only. Wages comprise both the manual labor and salaries, while P means profit, includes the income of property owners and the entrepreneurs. So here in the model, firstly, what is the assumption of Kaldor model? Full employment is there. Then income is given, particular model. Wages are there, profits are there. Another one, the marginal propensity to consume, that is MPC of worker is greater than that of capitalist, whereby the marginal propensity to save. Marginal propensity to consume means your MPC, and marginal propensity to save, that is MPS. SW is the small in relation to shows those the capitalist SP, that is saving proportion, and SW for the wages or workers proportion. The investment output ratio, that is I by Y, is an independent variable. ज्याला आपण चल म्हणतो. स्वतंत्र चल आणि पारतंत्र्य चल. Independence means स्वतंत्र चले. So the element of imperfect competition is or monopoly power is exist in the particular model. So what is the Kaldor model? Kaldor model is the relationship between the saving and profit and your national income. And here the all variables are independence. So another one is the technical progress. What is the technical progress which is shown in our syllabus? That in the technical progress there is endogenous growth model. Endogenous growth model, who write the endogenous growth model? Arrows. In that, Arrows learning by doing model is there. Then Lewhari, Shesinki model, Romer model of growth, Lucas model of growth, and Rommel model of also the technical change. These are some the endogenous growth model. So the neoclassical growth model was constructed in 1950s. So we know that the endogenous growth model, in that the neoclassical model which is enforced in 1950, and that is in US economy. So all the countries extend back to 1960s is available. Though the model is established in 1950, but it extend in 1916. So in that particular endogenous model, what are the particular model? That is maybe the neoclassical model and international economy model. So the major motive for the international trade, we know that the international trade, आंतरराष्ट्रीय व्यवहार किंवा व्यापार ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, that is the import and export for one country to another country, that is the international trade. The diversity of in the ability of the different countries are produced the goods and services. The neoclassical growth model excludes the trade of commodities because the model deals with a world in which there is only one good. So the neoclassical model, in that only one good is there. A second kind of the trade is intertemporal trade. The trade, what is the intertemporal trade? The trade between different point in time. That is the interportal trade. So we know that when one country's consumption plus investment is greater than its GDP, that is the interportal trade. The possible reason is that people in one country might be more patient than those in the another, which implies the higher saving rate. That is one possible reason. Another is one country may have higher rate of growth rate population than another. The high population growth country needs to invest as a faster rate of order to maintain the fixed capital labor ratio. So the every country can be include the fixed capital labor ratio. Then another one is one country is richer than other. Different country may use the different production function. This is not in the case of which embodied and endogenous model. So another one is the embodied technical process. We know that the embodied technical process means the machineries are there, and disembodied technical process, in that the intellectual capacities are there. that is the embodied and disembodied technical change. Embodied technical change, the shift of over the time from technologically less sophisticated to technologically more advanced capital goods. In the course of economic development, output per unit of input, that is the total factor productivity, can increase due to the various factors, among which shift from the economic sector to another economics of scale and more efficient allocation of the resources within sectors. So, which can use increases in output per unit input, so called the disembodied technical changes. So, in shortly, what is the embodied technical change? The embodied technical change means all the machineries, technical machineries are there. Disembodied technical change refers to the general advances in science, technology, and the state of knowledge, change in the stock of knowledge available to the firm, sectors, or countries. Improvement in the level of knowledge absorbed by employees and managers in the educational institution and the job, etc. Learning by doing by workers and the managers on the job, improvement in the collective technical capabilities of firm or social capabilities of the countries, and finally, positive external effects to the investment of knowledge and new technological through the spillover from the firm to firm, from country to country, etc. So this is how the embodied technical process and disembodied technical process. So in today's lecture, we have discussed what we have discussed in the today's lecture. We have discussed in today's lecture the model of economic growth. आजच्या लेक्चर मध्ये आपण जे काही आर्थिक विकासाचे किंवा आर्थिक वृद्धीचे प्रतिमाने आहेत तर ते पाहिलेले आहेत. आर्थिक वृद्धीच्या प्रतिमानामध्ये आपण हेरॉड-डोमर मॉडेल असेल, सोलो मॉडेल असेल, रॉबिन्सन असेल, कॅल्डॉर मॉडेल असेल, त्याशिवाय टेक्निकल प्रोग्रेस मध्ये डिसएम्बॉडिड, एम्बॉडिड आणि एंडोजेनियस ग्रोथ जे काही आहे तर ते पाहिलेलं आहे. सो याच्यावर जर आपण सेट आणि नेटच्या दृष्टिकोनातून क्वेश्चन पाहिले किंवा जर आपण अनालिसिस केलं तर त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला दिसून येईल की सगळे जे मॉडेल्स आहेत ते मॉडेल्स त्यांची क्रोनॉलॉजिकली ऑर्डर, कोणतं मॉडेल कोणी मांडलेलं आहे किंवा आता प्लॅटिनम एज असेल कॉन्सेप्ट किंवा गोल्डन एज कॉन्सेप्ट असेल, ती कॉन्सेप्ट कुठल्या मॉडेलमध्ये मांडलेली आहे किंवा तुम्हाला फिगरच्या दृष्टिकोनातून फिगर याच्यासाठी दाखवलेले आहेत की आता ग्रोथ रेटची फिगर असेल तर लॉंग टर्म मध्ये कोणता ग्रोथ रेट जास्त असणार आहे, शॉर्ट टर्म मध्ये कोणता ग्रोथ रेट जास्त असणार आहे किंवा त्याचे फॉर्म्युलाज कोणते कोणते आहेत, तर या सगळ्यांवर आपल्याला त्याच्यामध्ये क्वेश्चन्स विचारलेले दिसून येतात. त्यामुळे हे जे प्रतिमाने अभ्यास करत असताना तुम्हाला याच्यामध्ये या प्रतिमानांचे जे काही स्टेजेस आहेत किंवा ते कुठल्या कंट्रीसाठी ऍप्लिकेबल आहेत, एक तर डेव्हलपिंग कंट्रीसाठी ऍप्लिकेबल आहेत का, अंडर डेव्हलपिंग कंट्रीसाठी ऍप्लिकेबल आहेत का, अजून डेव्हलप्ड कंट्रीसाठी ऍप्लिकेबल आहेत, ते सगळं बघावं लागेल. त्याच्यानंतर याच्यामध्ये जवळपास जर अनालिसिस केलं तर मॅच द पेअर्स मध्ये किंवा मग रिझन आणि अजर्शन याच्यामध्ये जास्तीत जास्त क्वेश्चन विचारलेले दिसून येतात. सो ज्यावेळी आपण ह्याचा अभ्यास करत आहोत ग्रोथ आणि डेव्हलपमेंटचा, त्याच्यामध्ये आपलं हे तिसरा पार्ट चालू आहे. तर या प्रत्येक पार्ट मध्ये जर तुम्ही अनालिसिस पार्ट वाईज जर क्वेश्चन पेपर अनालिसिस केलात तर त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला असं दिसून येईल की यामध्ये जास्तीत जास्त ग्रोथ आणि डेव्हलपमेंटचं याच्यावर फिगर्स, फॉर्म्युले आणि क्रोनॉलॉजिकल ऑर्डर्स या पलीकडे क्वेश्चन विचारलेले नाहीये. सो इन नेक्स्ट लेक्चर वी हॅव डिस्कस द इंडिकेटर ऑफ इकॉनॉमिक डेव्हलपमेंट. जे काही इकॉनॉमिक डेव्हलपमेंट आर्थिक विकासाचे इंडिकेटर्स कोणते कोणते आहेत, इंडिकेटर्स मीन्स निर्देशक कोणते कोणते आहेत. मग फिजिकल क्वालिटी लाईफ इंडेक्स असेल किंवा ह्युमन डेव्हलपमेंट इंडेक्स असेल. त्यानंतर आपण उद्याच्या लेक्चरमध्ये बघणार आहोत SDGs, दॅट इज सस्टेनेबल डेव्हलपमेंट गोल्स. 17 जे सस्टेनेबल डेव्हलपमेंट गोल्स आहेत ते. देन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ पॉवर्टी अँड इनइक्वॅलिटी, म्हणजे दारिद्र्य आणि असमानता जे आहे तर त्यांचे कन्सेप्ट काय काय आहेत, त्याच्यासाठी मेजरमेंट काय काय आहेत. तुम्ही जर अनालिसिस केलं असेल तर HPI दॅट इज ह्युमन पॉवर्टी इंडेक्स, PQLI फिजिकल क्वालिटी लाईफ इंडेक्स आणि HDI यांच्या क्रोनॉलॉजिकल ऑर्डर्स आलेल्या दिसून येतात एक्झाम पॅटर्न मध्ये. तर ते क्रोनॉलॉजिकली ऑर्डर कशा आहेत, क्रोनॉलॉजिकल याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला म्हणजे त्यांच्या घटना कधी, ते पर्टिक्युलर जो काही इंडिकेटर आहे किंवा इंडेक्स आहे कधी चालू झालेला आहे याच्यावर क्वेश्चन्स आलेले आहेत. सो दिस we will discuss the indicator of economic development tomorrow. We will stop here.